Everyone thought he was just another homeless man asking for change. The cameras rolled. The reporters laughed. The whole city watched as they humiliated him on live television. But they had no idea who they were really talking to. What happened next didn't just destroy careers, it changed everything. And it all started with one question that should have been left unasked. Meet Marcus Thompson, 62 years old, sitting outside Channel 7 News on a cold December morning in Chicago. Cardboard sign in his lap, a paper cup with maybe $3 in loose change. To everyone walking by, he was invisible. Just another face in the city's growing homeless crisis, but Marcus wasn't always on the streets. 3 years earlier, he'd been Dr. Marcus Thompson, pediatric surgeon at Children's Memorial Hospital. 30-year career, thousands of lives saved, a man who once had everything. Then came the diagnosis, early onset Alzheimer's. His hands, those same hands that had performed miracles, began to shake. His memory started slipping like sand through his fingers. The hospital couldn't risk it. The insurance couldn't cover it. His wife couldn't handle it. Within 18 months, Dr. Marcus Thompson became just Marcus, living in shelters, sleeping in doorways, holding a sign that read, "Anything helps. God bless." But here's what nobody knew, what Marcus himself had almost forgotten in his darker moments. He still had one thing left, something that would change everything. December 15th, morning showtime at Channel 7. Reporter Jessica Chen needed a story, something heartwarming for the holidays. Her producer suggested interviewing some homeless people, give back to the community type of segment. Marcus was their first target. The cameras started rolling. Jessica crouched down with that practiced TV smile, the one that says I care but really means this will look good on my reel. "So tell us," she said, thrusting the microphone toward Marcus, "what poor choices led you to this situation?" Poor choices. The words hung in the cold air like a slap. Marcus looked up. His eyes, once sharp enough to see into a child's beating heart, met hers through the camera lens. "I used to save children's lives," he said quietly. Jessica laughed. Actually laughed, on live television. "Right, and I used to be a supermodel," she said, turning to her cameraman with a wink. "Come on, sir. What's your real story? Drugs, alcohol, gambling?" But Marcus wasn't done talking. "I was a pediatric surgeon for 30 years, he continued, his voice growing stronger. "I performed over 4,000 operations. I published research papers. I taught at Northwestern." The camera kept rolling. Jessica kept smirking. "Sure you did, buddy. And what happened to all that success? Let me guess. You threw it all away?" Marcus pulled something from his coat pocket, a worn leather wallet. Inside, a faded hospital ID badge, a medical license, a photo of him in scrubs shaking hands with the hospital director. Jessica barely glanced at them. "Anyone can fake those," she said dismissively. "Look, we're trying to do a serious piece here about homelessness. Can you please just tell us the truth?" The truth? The truth was sitting right in front of her, but she was too busy performing for the cameras to see it. What Jessica didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that Marcus still had one connection to his old life. One person who'd never forgotten Dr. Marcus Thompson. Someone who was watching that morning. Someone who'd been looking for him for 2 years. Sarah Martinez was having breakfast when she saw the segment. 15 years ago, Sarah's daughter Emma had been born with a rare heart defect. The doctor said she had maybe 6 months to live. Enter Dr. Marcus Thompson, 12 hours of surgery, a procedure so complex that only 3 surgeons in the country could attempt it. Dr. Thompson didn't just save Emma's life, he gave her a future. And now Sarah was watching her daughter's savior being mocked on live television. Sarah didn't hesitate. She grabbed her phone and started recording her own video. "This man," she said, holding up a photo of Dr. Thompson with her daughter, "saved my child's life. His name is Dr. Marcus Thompson, and he's not a fraud. He's a hero who's fallen on hard times." She posted it everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. TikTok. Within an hour, the video had 10,000 views. Within 6 hours, 100,000. By that evening, it had gone viral. But Sarah wasn't the only one who recognized Dr. Thompson. Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, current chief of surgery at Children's Memorial, saw the video too. She remembered Marcus. She remembered his dedication, his brilliance, his kindness, and she remembered something else. 2 years ago, the hospital had established the Marcus Thompson Foundation, a fund for medical research named in honor of their beloved former colleague who had disappeared after his diagnosis. The foundation had been searching for him ever since. They had money waiting for him, insurance benefits he'd never claimed, colleagues who'd never stopped caring. They just hadn't known where to look. Until now. Monday morning came fast for Jessica Chen. She walked into Channel 7 expecting another regular day. Maybe they'd even run a follow-up on the homeless segment. Ratings had been good. Instead, she found her boss waiting in her office. "Jessica, we need to talk." The video had changed everything. Sarah's story had exploded across social media. Find Dr. Thompson was trending nationwide. The hospital had confirmed Marcus's identity. Medical colleagues were sharing their own stories about the brilliant surgeon who'd touched so many lives, and Channel 7 was getting crucified online. "You humiliated a respected doctor on live television," her boss said. "A man who dedicated his life to saving children. Do you understand what you've done to our reputation?" Jessica tried to defend herself. She hadn't known. How could she have known? But that was exactly the point, wasn't it? She hadn't tried to know. She'd made assumptions. She'd chosen mockery over compassion. She'd turned someone's pain into entertainment. By noon, Jessica Chen was no longer with Channel 7 News, but Marcus's story was just beginning its second chapter. Dr. Hayes had found him. The foundation had resources ready. The medical community had rallied around one of their own. Within a week, Marcus was in stable housing. Within a month, he was receiving proper treatment for his condition. The foundation wasn't just helping him. They were funding research into early-onset Alzheimer's, hoping to prevent other brilliant minds from suffering the same fate. Marcus couldn't return to surgery. His condition wouldn't allow it. But he could teach. He could mentor. He could share 3 decades of knowledge with the next generation of doctors. And every year on December 15th, the anniversary of that cold morning outside Channel 7, Dr. Marcus Thompson gives a lecture at Northwestern Medical School. Not about surgical techniques or medical procedures, about compassion, about seeing people for who they really are, not who we assume them to be, about remembering that everyone has a story worth hearing. The lecture hall is always packed. Students hang on every word. Because they're not just learning from a doctor. They're learning from someone who's been broken and rebuilt, who understands that healing isn't just about fixing what's wrong with the body. Sometimes it's about fixing what's wrong with how we see each other. As for Jessica Chen, she left journalism entirely. Last anyone heard, she was working in public relations for a small nonprofit. Some lessons cost more than others, but karma. Karma never sends a bill it doesn't expect to be paid in full. What would you have done if you'd been behind that camera? Would you have seen the person or just the problem? Remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone has a story that might surprise you. Everyone deserves dignity, even when they have nothing left to give. Especially then. If you believe in treating people with respect no matter what their circumstances, subscribe and we'll see you in the next story.